So this is just going to be a quick match reaction to Manchester United's 2-0 victory over Nottingham Forest. And I have to say, whilst Bruno Fernandez was definitely the man of the match, I thought Antony was also fantastic throughout this game. I thought he did start pretty indecisively on the right side. I thought he was a lot better than Sancho, to be honest, in terms of his link-up play in the channel. I thought he held off the pass to the right time most of the time. And particularly with the likes of Wan-Bissaka and Bruno Fernandes making runs ahead of him, I thought that definitely suited him. And there was even a couple of times where Jadon Sancho would move over to the right side. And so whilst I didn't think Antony was superb during the first half, I think he did a lot of things very well. And throughout the whole game, I thought Antony was much better than Jadon Sancho, particularly in the second half, where Antony really improved. And his assist, which I will be doing a separate analysis video on, because I thought the goal was so well worked and there was a lot of key points to be talked about. But I thought from Antony's perspective, I thought that's exactly the type of thing he's going to have to do on a more regular basis if he is to become a top level player. He definitely hasn't shown that kind of chance creating ability in the final third that he showed in this game enough throughout the whole season. We have seen glimpses of his finishing ability, particularly his long shooting when he cuts in on that left foot, which was on display today. He had a couple of close chances. But I think if Antony is really able to improve and goes to the next level, this is what his game will look like. Not just relying on cutting in and shooting with his left foot, because how many of them are you going to score a season? Maybe you score one every 3 games. But he needs to be having bigger impacts on the whole game as he did in this game. But throughout the whole match, I agreed with Gary Neville, and I would have given Bruno Fernandes the Man of the Match award as well. I think he definitely suits playing alongside someone like Christian Eriksen, because Eriksen can be the deep line playmaker. If you saw my video, it should be maybe the 3rd or 4th most recent one, maybe the 2nd most recent one, analysing Bruno Fernandes in that regista position against Everton. As I said, United probably need him in that position more than he needs to be in that position, collecting the ball from in front of the opposition's midfield line, because in this game Eriksen was able to do that alongside Casemiro, and Fernandes could hold a higher position up the pitch, looking to receive the ball in behind the Nottingham Forest midfield line, where I think he's at his best. I think he's passing into the final third, and his ability to create chances in the final third is definitely the best part of his game. And so if you have him in those deeper areas, he's just not going to be able to get into those sort of situations as much as he is when Eriksen's in the team, and he can play as the most advanced midfielder of the 3. And so I think Eriksen's arrival into the midfield alongside with Fernandes now being able to push higher up the pitch definitely suited United a lot more in this game. But I have to say, in the first 20 minutes, I thought Harry Maguire was just completely chaotic. I think he got booked after about 3 minutes or something, and that was when Awani was trying to turn him in the right-sided United channel. And that's just always going to be a problem, because Maguire has the turning circle of an absolute boss. And I think for this particular incident, he just gets so tight to Awani. I think Awani's even about 10 yards inside of his own box. Maguire just doesn't need to be that tight, and so he just gets spun, which, I mean, even if he sits off him and allows him to receive the ball, he's made a mistake, because he does need to be on his back to stop him being able to receive the ball in the first place. The issue is just when Awani spins in behind him, he just hasn't got the pace to stay with him. And I think this is just more evidence that Harry Maguire just doesn't suit the Ten Hag's style of defending. Ten Hag wants to push the fullbacks high up the pitch in order to just basically put more players forward for the press in the final third. But by doing that, if you look at how Arsenal press, they have Ben White often pushing very high on the right side, but they have Saliba when he's fit, who can defend in the channel, and United just don't have that. And I think that's why you just see a massive drop-off when we go from Varane to Maguire, because Maguire just, it's not even that he isn't as good a defender as Varane, which is pretty obvious. I mean, he's a level below Varane and Martinez, but it's just that he doesn't fit the style at all, and it's just a complete mismatch. And he was absolutely chaotic in this game, and I think United were pretty fortunate that Forest are so dire up front that they weren't able to take advantage of a number of good situations they had in the first half. I think overall, Forest are a very poor team. It's no wonder they are where they are in the league. I mean, they have a few good players. They have Lodi, Morgan Gibbs-White, even Nico Williams, a right wing back, Brennan Johnson as well. Apart from Gibbs-White, they don't really have anyone in the final third who you think is going to create something out of nothing. And Brennan Johnson's useful on the counter, but Forest just didn't have the ability to even release him and get him 1v1 against the likes of Lindelof and Maguire. Something interesting we saw from a tactical point of view was Ten Hag really going with the inverted fullbacks with Wan-Bissaka on the right, and Dalot cutting inside on his stronger right foot from the left side. And we saw Dalot obviously get his goal from making a run from a deeper central position. And I think this is something that we could see a lot more from inverted fullbacks, because obviously you have the wingers, which in this game was Sancho and Antony, holding the advanced width, and so there is going to be more space between the opposition centre-back and fullbacks, particularly if the fullbacks do decide to stay wide with the wingers. There's going to be that space in central positions. And if you watch when I do the analysis video of that goal, which I think should be out sometime tomorrow, you'll see that Dalot actually starts very deep, and so that means that Forest don't have a natural player who would be tracking him, and so I think that's the advantage of using these deeper inverted fullbacks and having them really contribute in the attacking third by making these sort of penetrating runs, rather than simply being used as possession weapons to sit behind the ball and really maintain a defensive shape, which is how we see Pep now in 2023 use his fullbacks, with John Stones and Nathan Ake basically playing like centre-backs almost in those deeper positions. Ake, I know, plays in the back three in possession, and John Stones moves into a defensive midfield position. But even like Zinchenko at Arsenal, you rarely see him making that type of run that Dalot made today. He's more of a deeper line playmaker almost in possession for Arsenal. But Dalot was playing a slightly different role, and Wan-Bissaka as well on the right side, and so we saw a lot of Wan-Bissaka and Dalot making runs from central positions, and this often meant underlaps when Sancho and Antony had the ball rather than overlaps, and it's going to be interesting to see that development. I also thought Dalot looked pretty good from the left side, because he was able to receive the ball and he's instantly able to cut inside on his right foot where he can release a shot, and that is sort of an interesting evolution potentially. You wouldn't expect it to be a long-term thing, because United obviously have Luke Shaw and Malacia as the left back. So I mean, if either one are fit, they're going to be played ahead of Dalot in that position. But maybe Ten Hag could potentially think about switching Dalot and Shaw midway through a match if the opportunity arises, and have Luke Shaw cutting inside onto his left foot. I mean, you obviously already have that with Antony, I guess, but I mean, Luke Shaw would be able to do this from a deeper position, as would Dalot. And I think the passing angles probably do suit a player playing on the opposite flank. So it's a bit interesting as to why we haven't really seen managers do this before with fullbacks. We have seen Pep do it with Cancelo, and that was pretty effective from the left side. So maybe it's something that Ten Hag will look to do more of. But the obvious concerns going into this match, other than the centre-back position where both Lisandro Martinez and Rafael Varane were both absent, is obviously up front with Marcus Rashford's absence as well. But I thought with Anthony Martial playing as a centre-forward, United just look such a better unit. I think United even look better when they have Martial but no Rashford, just because that centre-forward spot is so important for United. And even when Weghorst plays there, when he came on for Martial in the second half, which I think was definitely the move to make, because Ten Hag knows that Martial he's so injury prone that any time you can get him off the pitch, you basically have to. But when Weghorst came on, you just saw the difference in quality. He just doesn't have the speed and the agility to receive the ball between the lines, spin and play those quick short passes in and around the box that we see Martial do so effortlessly and so easily. And I think a front three of Sancho, Antony and Martial looks a lot more coordinated and fluid than even, say, Rashford, Weghorst and Antony. Martial is a key player for United for the rest of the season, maybe even more than Marcus Rashford, because whilst Rashford definitely offers the most out of the United squad in terms of pure goal scoring and pure output, he's won United so many games this season just on his own really. I think Martial for the whole system is even more important. His ability to just drop off from the forward line and link the play is elite level when he's fit, and I imagine if he could stay fit for a whole season, this type of forward line that United would have with Rashford, Martial and Antony from the right side. So I think Martial is someone who Ten Hag, I think he's used him right in this game, took him off, I think it was around the 70th minute or something like that, which is exactly what you have to do. You can't risk him at all. And the same probably goes for Christian Eriksen as well. But overall, the game was probably a lot more comfortable than the scoreline actually suggests, and that's probably just from United not taking their chances. I think Jadon Sancho was definitely guilty of this during this game. I mean, if you look at the XG, United recorded 3.34 compared to Nottingham Forest's 1.05, which is a pretty stark difference. I think it was the same. I think Everton was as much as 4 goals, 4 XG. So United are creating a lot of chances. The problem isn't the actual chances they're creating, it's the actual finishing of the chances. And I think that's probably what you would expect, particularly with Rashford out. And I think whilst Anthony Martial can be a clinical finisher at times, I think Rashford has gone to another level this season. And United have become over-reliant on his finishing, to be honest. And I think that's why we're seeing United really rack up these high XGs. I think with Martial back in the side, they are going to be better at creating chances, and I think that's what Martial offers the system as a whole. It's not even his ability to score goals himself, but his ability to essentially facilitate the creativity for other players, linking the play by dropping off and carrying the ball into the final third, and actually getting the assist before the assist almost. I know he would have picked up an assist today for Anthony's goal. And it was a pretty good strike. It was a fantastic save from Navas. So Martial is definitely contributing, and United need him to stay fit, particularly with Rashford out. But I think Nottingham Forest made the same mistake they made for the second leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final, just by not pressing United high. If I'm an opposition side, regardless of where I am in the league, and I'm looking at that Man United side today, you've got players like De Gea in goal, Wan-Bissaka right back, Maguire right-sided centre back. That seems like the place to target. I mean, I know I've said many times about De Gea's deficiencies in possession, but you could also say the same for Wan-Bissaka and Maguire as well, probably even more. And so if I was Steve Cooper in this game, I would have been man-to-man pressing United on the left side, essentially cutting off all their options and forcing them to build up through that right side where you can then look to press them. But for some reason, I don't really know why, Brentford didn't do it either. Brentford just completely dropped off United. And so I can't really understand opposition sides that aren't even going to target United. I think once you let United out of the defensive third, they seem a lot more comfortable. It's the actual build-up which is the problem. So I think that's where Nottingham Forest went wrong, and they kind of made it easy for United to control possession, pushing Nottingham Forest back. And from here, against the top sides, I mean like the top 6 or 7 in the Premier League, if you're going to sit back and allow them to constantly circulate the ball, pushing you back into the defensive third, and then hope they just don't create anything of substance, you're always going to struggle. And to be honest, United more than deserved the victory, and so I think this is a game where United can take a lot of positives as well, but I wouldn't get overhyped about it just yet, just because I think you've got to look at Christian Eriksen and Martial. They've just come back. We don't know about their fitness. Nottingham Forest, if anything, played into United's hands, and so I think the second leg away at Sevilla is going to be completely different. I think United need Christian Eriksen and Martial fit to have any real chance. Bruno Fernandez is suspended, and Marcus Rashford looks like he'll still be injured as well. So having Martial and Eriksen fit, I think for me, is the key pretty much to the rest of the season. Because Eriksen is so integral, not just what he offers himself, but also because he allows Fernandes to play higher up the pitch, takes that creative burden off of him in the build-up phase and things like that. So I think Eriksen and Martial, they're the key players for United. Fernandes, apart from his suspension, his injury record's pretty spotless, so you'd expect him to be fine for the rest of the season. Rashford, again, is the one you've really got to look at and try and get him back as quickly as possible, particularly when you come into May and you potentially have the semi-finals of the Europa League and FA Cup as well as the finals. Those are the types of games where you need Marcus Rashford. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. You can check the description for more videos as well. Click the bell to get notified when the other analysis videos of this game do come out. And follow me on Instagram and Twitter for more content as well.